Brian Patillo is going to walk you through a lot of the details about Goosehead and the growth that they have had. But we are really, really privileged to have Brian Patillo join us today. He is the Vice President of Goosehead Insurance. He has gone through from an account executive to more of a managerial role, and he's had a strategic innovation with the company, specifically regarding their technology, and he's going to walk you through that a little bit more today. He got up at 4:30 this morning, drove through the fog to be here with you all today, and and he'll be here basically all day long, and then he's going to drive back home, which allows us to give one more quick announcement, which is we are going to have a lunch today at 12:30 in room 209, okay? So we have Blue Baker that's going to be catered in, and this is also your first opportunity to receive those great insurance points. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Brian Patillo.
Thank you so much for the warm intro. It's great to be here. I love getting to come back down. I was a little bit scared at times this morning when I could see like 5 feet in front of my car. But it's really fun just to come back down here and spend time with you all. I was kind of thinking just this morning, I was driving in, actually texted one of our agents named Ryan Offer. And Ryan was in your shoes about 4 years ago. He graduated 3.5 years ago. So about 4 years ago or so, he was sitting in your shoes. He started in our Dallas office, then was one of our founding members of our Chicago office, is now in our President's Club, and is on pace to make over $175,000 in his 4th year with the company. So I think about guys like Ryan. I think about kind of Casey Woodfin. I think about Preston Wood and many others that came out of this ag program that were in this class. This is kind of where they first heard about Goosehead. The people that would never consider insurance, we're not even thinking about sales a lot of times, they basically heard about us. And that's why I think I just get excited to come time and spend time with you all, share a little bit of our story, and then hopefully give you guys some career advice and some sales advice that you can take with you regardless if you're interested at all in this opportunity. So let me ask, who has heard of Goosehead before? Yeah, all right, cool. A few of you guys, not very many though, and we'll actually explain that more in a little bit. So I'm going to share a little bit of our story today. I'm going to dive into kind of one aspect that makes our company unique in regards to our sales process. I think you'll hopefully learn some sales strategies and techniques as a result of that. And I'm going to get into a little bit of just kind of career advice and some things that I wish I would have known kind of when I was in your shoes. And so that's kind of the plan for the day. So quick disclaimer. We are a publicly traded company. We went public last year. Our stock has gone up 460% since going public. But that being said, I'm going to show you guys some technology today and talk about some forward-looking statements. So if you choose to invest in Goosehead, that needs to be based on what's publicly available, not based on this presentation. So I don't want anyone to sue me. That would ruin my day. So let's talk for a second. I want to give you guys a little bit of context of who we are, and I think it actually makes a little sense in the context of a different story, one that you guys might be a little more familiar with, the story of Blockbuster and Netflix. Were you guys around for Blockbuster? Am I too old for that? Okay, so I can use this for a couple more years, and I got to change my analogy. But you think about Blockbuster and Netflix. Let me give you a little bit more about their story if you guys don't know the whole context. So Blockbuster was actually founded in 1985 in Dallas, Texas. At the time, they were a brand new business that had never existed before, and they started seeing rapid growth. In fact, the first 20 years they were open, they opened up 9,000 stores across the U.S. And that sparked a lot of competition of companies that were really just like Blockbuster. So who were some of Blockbuster's competitors that were just like them back in the day? You guys remember? Hollywood Video. There was Hastings, if you guys remember. There was like Family Video. The grocery stores had video rentals. And that was just kind of, they had a lot of companies that were a very similar model, kind of copied Blockbuster, but really just did the same thing Blockbuster did. And then in 1997, a guy named Reed Hastings in California was driving home from Blockbuster. And he was kind of fuming because he was just mad at the experience he just had with Blockbuster, a really frustrating experience as a customer, and was thinking about, could there be a better way to do this business? So let me ask, what do you guys think? Any guesses on what was his frustration based on? There's kind of 3 things he was frustrated by that all happened. What was it based on? Any guesses? What was he mad about? Late fees. So if you guys remember, their late fees were insane. So he had gotten a $40 late fee for failing to return Apollo 13 on time. He forgot he rented it, and a $40 late fee. What else do you guys think? What else would be frustrated by?
The quality of the discs.
Okay.
Take care of them.
Quality of disc, yeah, you remember that? It would be, you get the disc and it doesn't even play right after that. Also, there was inventory issues. So the movie he wanted, you'd have the whole shelf with like 50 of those movies, but they were all sold out. So you're digging through the returned item bin, and it didn't have the movie he wanted to rent. And he lived about 20 minutes from the store, so he spent about 40 minutes driving to and from the store only to get a late fee and then not get the movie he wanted to rent. And so as a customer, he started thinking about, could there be a better way to do this business? And the first thing he was thinking about is, what if instead of having retail stores, let's just do big warehouses, and we'll just mail DVDs back and forth to people. That'll save drive time, that'll help with inventory issues so that they have the DVD in stock that customers want to get. He then started thinking, what if instead of charging per rental, let's just do a subscription model. People pay once a month, they can keep the DVD as long as they want, they just don't get the next one until they return the last one. And he kind of draws this out on the back of a napkin and then goes on to start a company you guys have heard of called Netflix, right? And at the time, Netflix started seeing some growth. They started seeing growth in subscriber base. You guys remember the early on days of Netflix when you mail DVDs back and forth? So they started growing, but they were still tiny compared to Blockbuster. And so in 2004, Blockbuster actually had a chance to buy them for $50 million, and they declined to do that. Right? At the time, you think about, obviously hindsight's 20/20, right? You think about Blockbuster's giants, they own this space. Who's this small startup, and how are they going to really do anything to prevent us from continuing to grow? Well, you fast forward to 2020. Blockbuster in 2013 officially went bankrupt. They now have one store left in existence in Bend, Oregon. So if you guys are ever up in Oregon, you can go visit a little museum of Blockbuster. And Netflix is now valued at, I think it's over $150 billion is their market cap right now. So I think that's just the prototypical disruptor story, right? It was birthed out of a frustration with the status quo of how business is currently being done. It was built by an outsider to the industry. Right? A lot of times when you're an insider, you're biased to just how things are supposed to be. And it really was centered around the customer. How can we deliver a better experience to our customers? And if we can, then we can grow to become number one. And there are so many similarities between that story and our story of why our company was founded. So we were founded about 15 years ago by Mark and Robin Jones. Okay, this actually story was recently written about in Forbes. So if you guys want to hear more about the story, go check out Forbes and you can read about it. But Mark and Robin were not insurance people. Okay, so their background: Mark was a longtime partner at Bain Consulting. He got his MBA from Harvard, and then was a partner at Bain for many years. Robin basically managed their real estate investment portfolio. So they had a bunch of real estate investments, and she would manage all that. And so Robin was the primary person in their house that would deal with different insurance agents. And so Robin was constantly shopping around with different agents, trying to find an agent that would give her great service, and literally could not find anyone that would, right? So every person she talked to gave terrible service. They weren't very knowledgeable about their product. They had limited product to sell, so she had multiple agents doing different things, and just felt like it was just bad experience after bad experience after bad experience. Kept asking your friends, hey, who do you recommend? And they all basically, none of them had good experiences either. And so Robin felt like this model must be fundamentally broken. And so Mark and Robin have 6 kids. Their kids were grown up, and Robin decided, you know what, I'm going to start my own insurance agency. And our goal is that we want to deliver the kind of experience that I wish I would have gotten as a customer. So her goal initially wasn't that we're going to build a giant. It was simply, I just want to deliver an amazing experience to clients. And if we do, that really solves a lot of pain points for me and my friends, and we can deliver a lot of good to the community. Okay? So at the time, Mark viewed this as kind of be a side project for Robin, right? Mark had a very busy career at Bain. He was very supportive of Robin doing this, but they really viewed it as more of a kind of small business for Robin to work on. But at the time, Mark was doing some due diligence on the insurance industry. And when I talk about insurance, I'm talking about specifically home and auto insurance. That's the world that we play. Home and auto, personalized home and auto. And basically, after doing the research, came to the conclusion that this was the best business opportunity that he had ever seen in his lifetime. Okay? Quick reasons why. I won't elaborate too much on these, but one, massive market opportunity. So home and auto insurance in the U.S. is a $350 billion market. It's a huge market, highly fragmented. There are over 900 different insurance providers the top 10 own less than 50% market share. So it's a really competitive landscape, really attractive landscape because of the fragmented competition. Third is its residual economic model. Similar to Netflix, right? When you sign up for Netflix, they get paid over and over and over again to a subscriber model. Similar to insurance, right? Is that you get paid on a residual basis every year that policy renews. It's also in a stable industry. Home and auto insurance, there's zero impact that the recession has on our industry, which is great because you're not worried about how are these big macroeconomic conditions going to impact our ability to be successful. And then lastly is probably the most important point, is that he felt like looking across the landscape of insurance agents, that candidly it was very weak competition. Okay? I always feel a little bit mean when I say that, but it's just the truth. Is that when you think about the most talented, most driven, go-getters, smartest people you know, do you think of them as dying to go be insurance agents? Probably not, right? And candidly, this is an industry that has completely failed to attract top talent. The average age of insurance agent in our country is 57 years old. And really, there is almost no one that is really that talented or driven or works hard or high integrity that is wanting to get into our space. And Mark viewed that as a really good thing because he thought if we can attract people that would probably never be in insurance if it wasn't for Goosehead, then we can do things that have never been done before in our industry. Okay? And so that was the model, and he said, I'm going to partner with Robin, we're going to grow this company. And he said, if I'm going to do this, our goal is that we're going to be number one. We're going to be the number one distributor of personalized insurance in the United States. And at the time, it seemed like a laughable goal. Anyone know who number one is right now? Who do you think is number one home and auto insurance in the U.S.? Progressive's up there, growing, probably one of the fastest growing. Progressive, not number one though. State Farm. State Farm is number one. State Farm does $65 billion a year in premium. I think it's Progressive like $20 billion. State Farm is $65 billion. And so they are a giant. And so it seemed like a laughable goal, but you fast forward 15 years, and this is a look at our growth charts, that we are the fastest growing distributor of insurance in the United States. Our 10-year compounded annual growth rate is 35%. 5 years, 45%. 1 year is 49%. So we're growing faster as we get bigger. And so our growth, if you put it in comparison, our fastest growing peers are growing by about 4 to 5% organically per year. We're growing at close to 50% organically. So we're growing at 10 times the rate of anyone else in our space. And so we're not number one yet, but we are well on our path to becoming number one. And there's a lot of reasons why that is. And I'd love to go over with you, here are the reasons the industry is broken, and then here's how Goosehead is solving them. I'm not going to have really enough time to do that today. And so what I want to focus on is one specific way that we're changing the industry and how we're different, and that's as it relates to our marketing approach. Okay? So what do you guys think, what is the traditional marketing approach in our business, right? What do you think from your own experience? How do companies try to go about acquiring new clients? What's a typical marketing approach?
Savings.
Well, savings is the message. How do they get that message out? That's another question. What do you guys think? You guys watch TV, right? How many insurance commercials do you see on a daily basis? Right? You think about between Farmers, Allstate, State Farm, Geico, Progressive, USA. Those companies are all spending over $1 billion a year on advertising. Right? So that is the name of the game with insurance. Is let me just get my name out there to as many people as possible so I'm the brand of choice that people think of with insurance. And so what that's led to is the cost of client acquisition in our space is over $1,000 per new client. So if you are wanting to attract a client, you have to spend over $1,000 in advertising to bring one new client to the door. Right? If you do the math on that, you are losing money on bringing in new clients. The only way you make money is if those clients stick with you for a really long time, and that's how you end up making money on this. Okay? So that's part of the reason that our industry has been so stagnant, and these companies have been around for 100 years, is that if I'm a brand new startup with a better model, how am I going to afford to spend $1,000 per client on explaining who we are and how our model is different? That's really challenging to do if you don't have the money to compete with these big ad budgets. Okay? So when we were getting started, we had to figure out a smarter approach to this. We could not do what's always been done before. We had to be smarter about our process. We want to lay out our marketing strategy, because I think it helps you understand why we're the fastest growing, yet almost none of you have even heard of us before. Right? It's going to make a lot of sense once you understand our marketing plan. Okay? So let's go through kind of marketing 101. So if you guys have taken an intro to marketing class or you know anything about marketing, this is kind of marketing 101. It's the first thing that you want to do in marketing is define your target market. You want to say, who is my target market that I'm going to market my product and my service towards? 2 is you want to research your target market to understand how do they buy, how do they think, what's important to them. 3, you want to design your product around solving their problems of your target market and catering to their needs. And then lastly, you got to figure out the right strategy for how do you reach your target market with your story. All right, that's kind of the summary of marketing, right, one slide. So let's talk about this for Goosehead. So our target market is people who are buying houses. Okay, that's our target market. The reason for that is if you own a home, what else do you probably own? Cars, right? So we can bring in one line of business and sell them multiple policies, or one client sell them multiple policies. Also, if you're buying a home, you probably have good credit scores, so it's a more preferred clientele to bring in. And you're at that process where you're making a decision, right? You're not trying to convince someone to switch. They have to make a decision on who their insurance is going to be with. And so that's why we market to people buying homes. Now, let me ask you guys, for people buying homes, what we found is that over 90% of people make the insurance purchase decision the same way. They all have the same way for how they pick who they're going to get quotes with. What do you guys think that is? We didn't know. We had to research our target market. And so let me ask you guys, what do you think is the most common way that people decide who they're going to get quotes with? What would y'all's guess be? What do you think? Y'all are buying a home. How would you do it? Yeah.
Ask friends.
Okay, ask friends. We thought that would be common, just kind of word of mouth. And friends, we found that was not the case, but good guess. What else? Any other guesses?
Research online.
Okay, so yeah, same thing. We thought we'll just go on Google and they search, college station home insurance, but that's not it either. We thought that might be it, but that was not it either. The last class guessed it, so we'll see if you guys are better. Yep,
Ask the parents.
okay, that's a good guess too. We thought, especially for first-time home buyers, that was it. That was not it. Any other guesses?
Realtors.
Bingo, exactly. Okay, so the way when people are buying a home, they have a realtor that's helping them negotiate the contract on the house, and they have a loan officer that's helping get the mortgage set up, right? The realtor and the loan officer are the two people that are kind of quarterbacking that whole process. Well, part of that process is that they're required to have home insurance. So what we found out is that the way most people make that decision is that in that process, the loan officer and or the realtor makes a recommendation on who to shop with and who to get quotes with, okay? So as soon as we discovered that, we kind of went back to step 1 and said, well, maybe our target market isn't really people buying houses. Maybe it's really the loan officers and the realtors, as they're the ones that are ultimately driving this purchase decision, okay? So step 2 is research. We found out that on loan officers specifically, there are 981,000 loan officers in the United States. We found out almost every one of them has a go-to insurance agent they refer clients to. We also found out that many of them are unhappy with the agents that they work with currently. Okay, there's a lot of pain points in that process. So we said this could be an absolute gold mine. We said, what if we design our entire model around solving the problems of these loan officers and realtors and catering to their needs, and then we use that as the entire basis to which we grow. Is if we can solve their problems and become their referral source instead of who they work with currently, then we can grow quickly without spending almost any money on marketing. Okay? So then the last step in the process is how do we reach them? How do we find these loan officers? How do we reach them with our story? And so for that, we kind of took a page out of the kind of pharmaceutical sales world, right? You think about what farm reps do, or what they used to do. They're walking into doctor's offices, getting to know that receptionist, that kind of front desk person, to try to get an audience with the doctor, right? Once they're in front of the doctor, they're bringing Starbucks, breakfast tacos, Chick-fil-A, whatever they like, and they're trying to then get to know the doctor and educate that doctor on what their drug is and why it's better for their patients, right? And they're going to then try to follow up the doctor continually to try to drive sales for their drug. That's the life of a pharma sales rep, right? So we just said, what if we do the exact same thing, where we're going to hire really talented salespeople to walk into these loan officers' office and get to know the receptionist, the gatekeeper, to get an audience with the loan officer, with the realtor. They're going to then educate the loan officer about Goosehead and how we're different, and we're going to persuade that loan officer to work with us instead of who they work with currently. Okay? So we started as a group, about 4 of us, about 10 years ago doing this. You fast forward to today, we have over 8,000 loan officers and realtors that are referring us out on a monthly basis right now. and we're adding in about 800 new ones a month. Okay? So I mentioned that the industry is spending over $1,000 per new client. Anyone want to guess what our cost of client acquisition is? It's under $50 per client. And so we have been able to grow and be profitable as part of our growth. That we're not having to lose money to grow. We actually figured out a better approach to marketing so that we can market and spend almost no money on advertising, yet still drive in thousands and thousands of clients because we figured out a better way to do this. Okay? Now, I want to now put you guys kind of in the shoes of one of our brand new account executives at Goosehead. Okay? I want to kind of have you pretend like you're a brand new account executive, and I want to talk through some of the biggest kind of keys to this process and keys to your sales, to our sales strategy. Okay? So, as an account executive, your number one job is to go out and find loan officers and realtors that are not working with Goosehead and convince them to start working with you, start referring clients over to you. Okay, so that's your job as an account executive, is to go out and find these people, get in their office, build a relationship with them, and convince them to start working with us instead of who they work with currently. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through step by step in that process, kind of how we do that, and give you guys some sales strategies to pick up on along the way. Okay, so the very first thing that you're going to do is you're going to find 20 loan officers that you're going to start prospecting. Okay, that's step one, is you put together your list of prospects. So let me kind of pose to you guys, if you were your first month at Goosehead, and maybe you moved to Dallas and you don't know anyone in Dallas, let's just say, and you're a brand new account executive at Goosehead, and your boss, your sales manager says, hey, I need you to go find 20 loan officers to start pursuing a relationship with. How would you guys go about trying to do that? What would y'all do? How would y'all go about trying to find a list of 20? What do you guys think? Online research, exactly. That was exactly our approach. So I'm going to kind of demo what that would look like. So I would go to our friend here called Google. Right? I'd go to Google, and I'm going to do Seattle, Washington for our demo here today. But I search Seattle, Washington loan officers. So we can see here, the number one that pops up is Tara Johnson. Okay, so I see Tara Johnson, and I would then put Tara on my list of 20. Right? I would start pursuing Tara. Now, the problem with this approach, this was our approach for most of the time we've been here, but a year ago we changed this. And the problem with this approach, as I mentioned, there are 981,000 licensed loan officers. The problem is only about 100,000 of those are closed on more than one loan per month. So really about 1 out of 10 are doing all the volume. The problem is I don't know if Tara is the one that's doing business or the 9 that aren't doing business. And actually, I looked her up right before this today. Tara got out of mortgages 6 months ago. She's doing a totally different thing now, right? So I would have wasted my time going after Tara. The second problem with this approach is that I don't know if Tara or any of these other people are already working with Goosehead or not. So you end up wasting a lot of time going into all these offices, going after people that aren't producing much, or they're already working with Goosehead. Okay? So we rolled out something last year that has been revolutionary to our business. So we spent years building a database to where we now have the name and address of every single loan officer in the United States. We have the data on every home transaction in the United States tied back to the corresponding loan officer and realtor. And we've integrated that into our CRM so that our agents now know exactly who the best people are to call. Okay? So if I'm putting together my list of 20, now instead of going to Google, I would go to Salesforce, which is our CRM. Okay? At the top of Salesforce, I would click on New RP Search. I can click on any city and state in the U.S. I'm going to go and click on Seattle, Washington. And now I'm going to click Find Loan Officers. What that's doing is building me a report, basically. It's saying, show me every loan officer that's located in Seattle, doing business, and not working with a Goosehead agent. So you can see there's 461 loan officers that fit that criteria. It's ranked from the highest producing loan officer to the lowest producing loan officer. So right here shows loans closed in the last 12 months. So you can see number one is closed on 848 loans in the last 12 months. So we're going to open up number 3 right there, Julie Johnson. She has closed on 342 loans in the last 12 months. So I'm going to open up Julie's contact here, and I can see there's a picture, her phone number, her email, and I'm going to click on loan transactions. I can now see the data on every single home that she has closed on. Okay? So for example, right here, Josiah Matlack bought 4208 37th Avenue in Seattle for $650,000 on November 25th. It was a conventional mortgage. So I see every bit of data on every client she's closed on. So I now know exactly who to call on, and when I talk to Julie, I know exactly what types of deals she's doing. I know her average sales price is $783,000. I know where she's closing on business. So I know how to cater my sales approach based on exactly the data that I see. And this database is completely proprietary to Goosehead. So we rolled this out. We saw a 250% growth in the number of new referral partner activations. We went from getting about 300 new ones a month to getting over 800 new ones a month, right? Because of this database, because now all of that time is now eliminated, and you're now only going after the exact right people that are closing on the most volume business, okay? Now let's talk about how are we going to convince Julie to work with us instead of who she works with currently, right? Because remember, Julie already has an insurance agent she refers to, so how am I going to get her to work with me instead of who she works with currently, right? First thing I got to get an audience with her, right? We'll talk about that in a minute. But let's talk about the value that we're going to offer to Julie, okay? There's 3 components to our value proposition with Julie, okay? The first, so there's 3 words I'll give you. It's choice, speed, and partnership, okay? So the first is what we call a choice business model. So here's what this means. Most insurance agents have only one insurance carrier to sell. So if I'm a State Farm agent, I sell you a State Farm policy. If I'm an Allstate agent, I sell you an Allstate policy. That's not how Goosehead operates. We are not an insurance carrier. We are an independent insurance agent. So what that means is that we represent over 80 different insurance brands. And our job is that we shop around amongst all of those different companies to figure out which one's going to be the best coverage at the best price. So when we're talking to Julie, we explain our choice business model. And we explain by working with us, your clients are going to be better off because they're going to save money, they're going to get the right coverage they need, they're going to save time, because we're going to shop them around with everyone to find the best option. Okay, so that's the first component to why Julie should work with us instead of who she works with currently. Okay? The second is speed. So the number one pain point that Julie probably has is that typically insurance agents take at least 48 hours to get her the paperwork that she needs. And what happens is because that takes so long, a lot of times that can delay home closings because they're waiting on the insurance agent to get back to the paperwork. Our average turnaround time on that same paperwork is 7 minutes. It's 7 minutes from the time they request the paperwork to when they have it in hand is 7 minutes later. So we go in there and explain, hey, we're going to solve your number one pain point because we're going to get you paperwork faster than you would get anywhere else. Okay, so basically saying your clients are better off working with me and you're going to be better off working with me. All right? The third component here is partnership. So we've always said that we don't want to be seen as a vendor. We want to be a partner to Julie. Right? We want to help Julie grow her business because if she grows her business, we know that we'll be more successful as well. So anyone know, where do loan officers get their business from? How do they get their referrals? You know? It's through realtors. Okay, so loan officers call on realtors similar to how we call on realtors and how we call on loan officers, right? So what we've always said historically is that we would love to help you network with realtors and help you be more successful because we know if we help make you successful, then we'll be successful as a result. Now, we were always kind of able to help with that. We go to networking events and things like that. But I'm going to show you guys now something that we rolled out last month that's been another completely game-changer innovation. Is you look at this, and now you see loan officer data, but now I'm going to click on this, it says realtor data. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Seattle, and what it's going to show me is it now shows me who the top realtors are in Seattle. Okay? So I'm going to click on Charles Mortimer, for example. He's the number 3 highest producing realtor. And this right here shows which loan officers he's currently working with. So what you can see is that he's not loyal to any one loan officer. He's working with a lot of different loan officers. So if I can go to Charles and build a connection with him and then get a lunch together where me, Charles, and Julie go to lunch, and I can help introduce Charles to Julie and help get Charles to start referring clients to Julie, then Julie is going to love me now, right? Because I just completely changed her business because she just brought on a new top realtor, which will help her be more successful, right? So now this realtor data is, we're starting to see, we just rolled this out, we're starting to see almost as big of an impact this is going to have as the loan officer data when we roll that out. And so you can see between having this data at our fingertips and having a more unique approach, we have a completely unfair advantage compared to anyone else we worked with, because none of the other agents have this data, and that's a big part of how our agents have been able to be so successful, which is also part of how they make so much money, because they've been able to have better tools, where our agents on average are 3.5 times more productive than any other agents in our industry. And part of it's because of this data that we get. Okay? And so let's talk about one last thing here, and then I'll get to maybe some career advice, is let's talk about some of the keys to approaching Julie. So let me kind of maybe pose it to you guys. If I was a brand new sales rep, and I'm about to walk into Julie's office, right? I've seen this data. I'm about to walk into Julie's office. What do you guys think would be maybe a common mistake that I might make as a brand new sales rep, right? I just walked into Julie's office, and I'm trying to convince Julie to start working with me instead of her current agent. What do you guys think are maybe some of the common mistakes that people might make walking into Julie's office that way? What do you think? Okay, so maybe too much of an ego, acting like you're lucky to spend time with me. That's not going to go well. So that might be a big mistake. What else? What else do you guys think?
You could be bashing the other competitors.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually a lot of, it's an instinct. A lot of times to be like, oh yeah, you work for State Farm, man, they suck, this, and this. But really you're insulting them, because they're the ones who chose to work with the competitor. And that's a very used car salesy tactic, is trying to kind of just be like that. Usually I would do the opposite. Actually, I actually compliment the other one, like, oh, that State Farm is great. Yeah, that's awesome that you work with them and do that. So that's a big mistake people make for sure. There's a really big one that you haven't said yet, that a lot of people make this mistake. What do you guys think? Guesses?
I think maybe just not building rapport first.
Okay.
Just automatically going into what am I trying to sell.
Yeah. So you're exactly right. Is that a lot of times when I go in, a lot of times I'm a little bit nervous, and I walk into Julie's office, and my goal is I want Julie to like me, right? I want Julie to like me, and I want Julie to start seeing the value in me. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go in and just start talking, right? I'm going to start talking. I'm going to go to Julie and say, hey, Julie, it's really nice to meet you. My name's Brian. I'm with Goosehead. Our company, we're the fastest growing insurance agency in the United States. We actually can shop you around with over 80 different carriers to find the best option. We'll get you paperwork in under 7 minutes. We'd love to help you plug it out for realtors. We do, you just kind of go into just blah, blah mode, right? You just kind of unload everything you can about your value proposition and who you are and why they should work with you. And that's a really common mistake that people make, but that is the worst possible thing you can do. When you walk in, that you want to go in, like you said, building rapport, and also go in doing discovery, right? Asking questions, right? Ask, who does she currently work with? Does she have an insurance agent now? Build rapport and get to know them. So what I like to recommend is be interested before you try to be interesting. Okay? Has anyone read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie? I read that book. Great book that I highly recommend. And there's a principle in that book that basically says, if you want to influence someone, if you want someone to be your friend, you're going to win a lot more friends by being genuinely interested in other people than by trying to get them interested in you. Right? If you just go in talking, and you guys know this, right? If you ever been on a date before, if you go on a date with someone and all they talk about is themselves, how's that going to go for them? Right? Not great. You want to go in being genuinely interested in them, right? And find out from them, ask questions, get to know the other person, and that's going to help them kind of have a mutual kind of likability, right? So you want to go and do a discovery, get them interested before you try to be interesting. A couple other things is confidence. Being confident. If you come in and you can just tell you're super scared, that's not going to go well. And the way that you get confident is by being really well prepared. Okay? So I thought I might just share a story that's not a direct sales pitch, but something I experienced just recently about this topic. And so I get to do a lot of different things in my role, but one of the things I get the privilege of doing is speaking to our investor group. So a lot of times I'll get in front of these big fund managers that manage these big $200 billion investment funds, and they're trying to decide if they want to invest money in Goosehead. Okay? So recently our CEO asked me for the first time to come to one of these meetings, and he says, you have 7 minutes, and I want you to demonstrate Goosehead's technology and explain why Goosehead has a competitive advantage because of our technology. And he ended that by saying, by the way, how well you do on this could potentially make hundreds of millions of dollars of difference in our stock price. No pressure, right? So, he says this, and I realize the stakes of this presentation could not be higher, right? Is that if I go in and fumble over my words, I'm unclear over what I'm saying, I get stumped by a question, then this is going to be really bad for my career, right? This is not going to go well. And so what did I do? I prepared like a crazy person, right? I was literally, I remember sitting in a hotel room in College Station doing a voice memo on my iPhone, just like going through my presentation, and I stopped and I listened back to myself, listen to how it sounded, make tweaks. I practiced in front of the mirror. I made my wife listen to me practice. I just relentlessly prepared going into that. And then when the day came, when I went in, I was confident. Because I knew every objection they may give me. I knew exactly what I was going to say. I rehearsed it plenty of times. And therefore, I was able to give a great speech. And now I get to go on these investor trips around the world speaking to investors because of how I did in that one speech. And the reason I say that is because I was prepared, and that made all the difference. And same thing in sales. If you go in to talk to Julie and you're not prepared, you've never really articulated the Goosehead value pitch before. You haven't really thought about what objections she may give you and how to overcome those, then you're not going to do well on that pitch, right? You got to go in, role play with your friend before you walk in, with your manager before you walk in. Think about, articulate the Goosehead value pitch multiple times. Think about what objections she might give you and how are you going to respond to those objections. What are you going to do if you walk in and Julie's on the phone? If you hang out awkwardly and wait for her to get off the phone, what do? You rehearse all these different scenarios so that when you walk in, you know exactly how to handle yourself. And the more prepared you are, the more confident you're going to be. A couple others: be observant, look around the office, smile, show enthusiasm, be genuine. The last one I want to hit on for a second here is this idea of assertiveness. So I think that this is one of the most important and missing skills that a lot of people don't have when they first start in a sales career, that I want you guys to think about. So a lot of people talk about they want to get into sales because they're just a people person, right? They love people, they love talking to people, they enjoy meeting people, making relationships, and that's where they want to get into sales. And I think that is an important part, right? You've got to be able to talk to people if you want to be in sales. But I think that that's only probably half of it. I think the other half is your level of assertiveness and asking directly for what you want, right? So really friendly salespeople, at the end of talking to Julie, they might say, all right, Julie, well, nice to meet you. If you ever have any clients and need anything, just feel free to send them my way. I'd love to help out. It's that really friendly, really soft approach. With someone that has more assertiveness, they're going to be really friendly, but then at the end they'll say, hey, that file on your desk, like, who's their insurance with? Like, can I try on that one? I'd love to show you what I can do. Or who do you have in your pipeline that I can quote right now? Like, I really would love to earn your business. And being assertive, right? Directly asking for the business. And that makes all the difference in the world on being successful in sales. So I'll give you guys one quick story on this from one of our agents, Brent Phillips. So Brent Phillips is in our Woodlands office. Which, by the way, if you ever want to shadow a salesperson, I'll send you an email to you. We'd love to connect you with someone if you want to come shadow. Brent Phillips is only an hour away or so. You can go shadow him. He's the number one sales rep in our company. He's 3 years out of school, and he'll make over $250,000 this next year. Just absolutely crushing it. So he had a new agent observing him one day and observed him calling a referral partner. So he pulled out the RP search tool, pulled out a contact into Woodlands, and he looked at the notes. You can see in past notes of other people that have visited this person. And every note on this account basically said the same thing. Do not go in here. That's basically what they said. Like, this person hates insurance. He hates Goosehead. He's grumpy. He literally is going to kick you out as soon as you walk in. And so a lot of people see that and they're like, oh man, I'm not going in there. But Brent sees that, and he's not one to back down from a challenge. So he's like, let's go. So he has the new agent go along with him on the ride. Walks in the front door. Brent's just super enthusiastic, so walks in. He's like a brand new puppy dog, just excited to see you. So walks in, big smile on his face, and the guy just immediately shuts him down. It's like, I'm not interested. You insurance people come in here all the time. Just shuts him down right away. But Brent, instead of backing down, basically tells him, he's like, I apologize, sir. It's like, let me explain something to you about how our system works. If you send me one referral, you don't show up in our database anymore. So all you have to do is send me one lead, and that's a great way that no other agents are going to call on you anymore. So he's like, fine, here's a name and number. Give him a call, and don't show up again. Right? And so Brent ends up calling his client, and this client ends up saving like $1,000 a year for better coverage than they had now, just killed it. And the client calls the loan officer to like rave about Brent. Talking about how awesome Brent was. And now that loan officer is Brent's number one loan officer. He refers every single client over to him, and he kind of finally cracked the case, right, and got him to send business. But that's what it takes sometimes to be successful in sales, right? It's not always just about being friendly, but part of it, you've also got to be assertive. You've got to be willing to ask for what you want, and you've got to have a little bit of that backbone, not to be overly aggressive, right, but to be a little bit assertive and to directly ask for what you want in a friendly way. And that's a big part of being successful in sales, okay? So let me turn now real quick. I thought I might just give a couple pieces of career advice to you guys. Flip through my slides. That I don't know if it's helpful to you, but it's things I probably wish I would have known had I been in your same spot. What time is this class over?
11:10.
11:10. Okay, I'll be really quick on this then. So I would just encourage you guys, if you're not considering a career in sales, I would encourage you guys to consider a career in sales. I had never considered it when I was in your shoes, but I've realized that sales is one of the best possible places to start your career. 3 reasons why. One is a sense of noble purpose in what you do. If you're working for a great company that cares about clients, you can feel a lot of purpose behind the work you do. And that's awesome. When you can feel rewarded and you feel like you're genuinely helping people, that's a big part of career fulfillment. 2, it's a great income opportunity. You can make a lot of money in sales. And then 3 is leadership development. Is that if you look at a huge majority of Fortune 500 executives, they started their career in sales. Because the things you learn in sales, learning empathy, learning persuasion, learning communication, those are all directly things that it takes to be a successful executive in business. And so if you want to be successful in your career and have a great leadership career, I think sales is a great place to start your career. I would encourage you to be open-minded. A lot of people have this perception of salespeople are always the most charismatic, the most extroverted, and that's often not the case. In fact, a lot of the top salespeople are more middle of the spectrum on introverted versus extroverted. The number one character quality it takes to be successful in sales is grit, really. I'm stealing this from a book called Grit by Angela Duckworth. The way she defines grit is it's your level of awesome. Thanks, Siri. It's your level of passion and perseverance for long-term goals. And so if you are thinking about, am I a good fit for sales? Don't ask yourself, how extroverted am I or how charismatic am I? Ask yourself, how gritty am I? Can I overcome adversity? Do I have passion and perseverance for long-term goals? And that's what it takes to be successful in sales. Now I'll briefly mention, if you're interested in a career at Goosehead, we'd love to talk to you. We're actively hiring for our 4 offices in DFW, Austin, Houston, and Chicago. We're about to launch a Charlotte office as well that we're hiring for. We're hiring for this account executive role as well as a franchise sales role. So I'll mention just like kind of 2 things about Goosehead that might be interesting to you. So the first thing I want to talk about is our company culture. We got rated as the #1 company culture in America by Entrepreneur Magazine. But we've had kind of a different perception of what culture means than a lot of companies do. So I put these 3 pictures on here to kind of make fun of it. But I feel like a lot of company cultures, all they talk about is we're work hard, play hard. And they talk about you can bring your dog to work with you. There's slides in the office. We have beer fridges. They just talk about how fun of an environment it is. And it's not that I think that those are bad things, but I think that's not really what company culture actually is. What I think culture is, it's all about the quality of people that you're going to be surrounded by every day. And what we believe about culture is that A players want to be around other A players. Right? If you're a really driven person, you want to be around other really driven people. I'll say it like this. If you're the person that did all the work in your group projects, you want to be around other people that did all the work in their group projects, right? You guys may relate to that. And so I think that's what's neat about a culture, is just a culture of excellence. And now last, I'll just mention real quick income opportunities. Here's what the income model looks like. If you're an average account executive at Goosehead, year 1, you'll make $51,000. If you're top 10%, you'll make $75,000 year 1. Year 2, average is $63,000, top 10% $97,000. Year 3, it's $77,000, $116,000. Year 4, $94,000 and $185,000. By year 5, our average account executive makes $113,000. Top 10% make $210,000. And so what I want to encourage you on this is that when you're looking at income opportunities, different careers, look at least 5 years out of where you're going to be. A lot of people get set on just that first year number. I remember thinking I wanted to make more than all my friends year 1. But what matters more is not where you start, it's what the trajectory is. Right? So if you start making 70, then you get a 2% raise a year, that's not going to be in a good spot 5 years in. So look 5 years in. What is my trajectory going to be? That's a really important component as you're evaluating career opportunities. So if you are interested, we'd love to talk to you. If you're a senior, the best way to do that is apply for campus interviews on Hire Aggies. The deadline for that is January 30th. We're making interview selections by January 30th, so make sure to do that ASAP. And then we'll be at the career fairs this week. So if you're sophomore, junior, senior, anyone, we'd love to talk to you at the career fairs about opportunities. So come out and talk to us. And then lastly is if you have any questions, if you want a job shadow, if you have any other questions about the opportunities, the best way to email is email your resume or email your question as well to careers@goosehead.com, and we would love to be in touch. So with that, I think we have like 3 minutes for questions, so I apologize. I meant to leave more time. But what questions do you guys have about careers or Goosehead or anything? Yep.
You say you started in Temple.
As an account executive. I started in sales. Yep.
How'd you go from that to VP?
So I started in sales. First thing is I try to be just a great sales professional. So then I moved into sales.